Joe on true, Captains and Admirals, and welcome back to Boldly Build, where we embark on a journey through captivating ship builds. In this series, we'll dive into the most interesting and enjoyable ship designs I've encountered or used myself in the past. From sleek clown cars to colossal tank starships, we'll explore the art and science behind their construction. If you're passionate about ship builds like I am, this channel is for you. So grab your tricorders and let's go. In this episode of To Boldly Build, we're talking about the Worf Effect. This ship build is one of my bread and butter builds. It is a ship that I go to quite often if I am stuck building. If I have a little bit of writer's block in my building style, I definitely bring this ship to the table because it's one of those easy ones that I can run. So, let's get to the cards. So we're looking at the I.K.S. Vorn from the 2017 starter pack. We're looking at Kor, and I don't exactly remember which pack he came from. We've got Admiral Gowron, who comes from the I.K.S. Drovana. DAHAR Master from the Blood Oath faction pack. The Klingon cloaking device from the Kelvin Timeline faction pack. We've got Worf from the 2017 starter set. We've got Quark from the DS9 crew Comic-Con exclusives, or the DS9 retail pack. And we've got the dorsal phaser arrays from the Alliance Part 1 set. So looking at the first card in the build, it's the I.K.S. Vorn, Cavort class, 4153, tech, weapon, crew, coming in at 24 points. When attacking, if the ship is cloaked, if the defending ship is at range 1, this ship rolls +2 attack dice. If the defending ship is at range 2, this ship rolls +1 attack dice. So the Vorn wants to be cloaked, and it wants to be close to the enemy. Sitting at range 1, we're talking about a 7 dice attack. Range 2, we're talking about a 5 dice attack. And we'll talk more about why that's important when we get to the passive economy section. So the next card in the build that I like to use is the old TOS version of Kor. Add 1 crew upgrade slot to your upgrade bar. Each time you attack during the modify attack dice step, you may select any number of your attack dice, up to the number of non-disabled crew upgrades assigned to your ship, and re-roll those dice at once. So he's a skill 8 captain, comes in an elite talent slot, cost of 5. The Vorn comes with 2 crew slots. Kor adds a 3rd, so that gives you up to 3 crew you can re-roll. And we'll talk more about that again in the passive section. Next card we have is Admiral Gowron. Fleet action. If there is not already a battle station token beside your ship, place 1 battle station token beside your ship. In addition, if your captain is a Klingon ship with a Klingon captain assigned to it, you may immediately perform an additional action from your action bar as a free action. So, Gowron lets you place a battle stations token, and then you get to do an action off of your ship's action bar like cloak or sensor echo if you need it. Next card in the build is the DAHAR Master card. And DAHAR Masters, 1 per ship, Klingon captain only, can only be equipped to captains named Kang, Koth, or Kor. Increase the captain skill of this captain by 1 for each copy of DAHAR Master in your fleet, including this one. Activation phase. This ship may perform a cloak or a target lock action as a free action. And again, I have this card on this build, not only to give Kor up to a skill 9, but mainly for this activation phase section. Next card in the build is something I learned to never leave home without. That is a Klingon cloaking device. It is a 1 per ship card, Klingon ship only. When defending, if this ship is cloaked, convert 1 blank into 1 evade. During the end phase, place 3 time tokens on this card and flip this ship's cloak token to its green side. So it's not only helping you in the defense, but it also gives you an option to remain cloaked if you need it in a pinch. Next card in this fleet build is one of the most important cards. That is Worf. He can only be equipped to a Klingon ship. When attacking, if this ship is cloaked, convert all blanks to hits. Now we'll talk more about why this card is important in this build in the next section. But the next card in this build is Quark. At the start of the game, place one non-Borg tech or weapon upgrade with a cost of 5 or less face down beneath this card. At any time, you may discard Quark to flip the upgrade that is beneath this card face up and deploy it to your ship, even if it exceeds your ship's restrictions. Now, the important thing to remember about this card is that at any time is actually been ruled to start at the beginning of the phase. It doesn't have to be the beginning of the activation phase. It can be the beginning of the activation phase, the beginning of the combat phase, beginning of the end phase, beginning of the planning phase. Any of those works, but he has to be done first. As far as the card that I hide beneath him, I typically hide the dorsal phaser array. It is a 3 attack weapon, range 1 to 2, target an opposing ship. This ship may fire this weapon in any direction. Reason why I have the ship or this weapon on board of this fleet is because when the Vorn comes in, hits hard, the Vorn doesn't have a rear arc. So a lot of opponents, not knowing what's under Quark, they don't need to completely blow past the Vorn. They can just move out its forward firing arc. And typically what I've seen is that people will move forward 1, forward 2, because they still have a rear arc and they can fire behind me, or on me from behind. So then I reveal this card at the beginning of the combat phase, and all of a sudden, if they're still within range 1 of me, I'm firing 3, and the Vorn's ability still kicks in. So now I'm firing, my 3 dice attack becomes a 5 dice attack. So this is all the cards you need. Let's move on over to the action economy section real quick. So, for action economy, I typically use DAHAR Master at the beginning of the activation phase, simply for cloaking. I will let the Vorn decloak, but then I'll use DAHAR Master to recloak it. Or if you're already cloaked and you're getting within range, you can grab that target lock. Gowron, I place the battlestations token besides the ship. And then from there, I typically use the sensor echo action to make sure that I am in arc of somebody or I am in a position to fire closer than I was before. Now, other cards that you can put in here, you can do Drex, Gowron, or Sulu. But if you do Gowron, you really have to do the action bar. So you could take, if you don't have access to a Gowron, you can put Drex, Gowron, or Sulu in here, giving you a couple more flexibility options. So, let's talk about the passive economy and the attack phase, or the combat phase. So the I.K.S. Vorn, we already know, gives us attack dice. Kor is where this build, and Kor and Worf is really where this build shines. So, you attack with the Vorn. Let's say we're attacking an enemy at range 1. That's a grand total of 7 attack dice. Now, if we roll that 7, and let's say we get 4 hits, 2 battle stations, and 1 blank. Well, we have the battle stations token besides this ship from Gowron. We can turn those 2 battle stations into hits, and then Worf will turn that 1 into hit. And that's completely fine to do. What I do is I leave that battle stations token primarily for the defense phase. I leave that for our defense. I will take those 2 battle station results, and with Kor, I will re-roll them, hoping for a crit, a hit, or a blank. Because we get to choose the order of operations here, so we re-roll those and say, let's re-roll those 2 battle stations into 2 blanks. So now we've got 3 blanks. Well, Worf's going to convert those 3 blanks so that we have a grand total of 7 hits. That's the beauty of this build. You don't need all these tokens besides this ship to do this. But the tokens stay there to serve a purpose and kind of be a little bit of a deflector. People think they know what you're going to do. And again, this works with dorsal phaser array too. If you're going to be firing that 5 dice attack behind yourself, you can, again, use all this and get a guaranteed 5 hits. Now, other passive cards that I like to put on these builds sometimes if I have room, and you do have room with this build, is Toral, who converts a battle station token into innovate You got William Riker, who gives you +1 defense, and then converts the battle stations to an evade. And of course, Klingon cloaking device, we've already got attached. But again, there's that passive ability of when defending, convert a blank into an evade. So when you're defending and you're cloaked, you've got your +1, +4, so you're rolling 5 defense dice. And you've got a battle stations token to turn any other battle station results in. And if you've got Klingon cloaking device, it turns 1 blank into an evade. So your Vorn not only becomes a hammer, it becomes a shield as well. You're able to kind of shrug off some of these attacks that people can put on the Vorn, even at range 1. So, we got the I.K.S. Vorn, comes in at a grand total of 44 SP. It does have a couple of unused slots, so you have some room to build on it. We got the unused slot from Kor, which, again, keep in mind that Kor rerolls up to the number of disabled crew that you have. So, personally, I would put a cheap crew like Toral on the build, because the minute you reveal what you have under Kork is discarded, so he's gone. So you don't have all that crew to reroll. But if you have Worf and Toral there, you've got 2 rerolls, and never mind where Kork goes from there, whether he goes out the airlock or not. You still got another weapon upgrade if you want to put a torpedo on. That's up to you. So, what do you need for this build? You need the 2017 Core Starter Set, the I.K.S. Ning Tao, the Blood Oath Faction Pack, the I.K.S. Dravana, the Kelvin Timeline Faction Pack, the Deep Space Nine, either the Crew OP Pack, or the Crew from the retail version of Deep Space Nine, and then Alliance Part 1. And of course, I'll put a link to the build in the description box below. So, thank you everyone for watching. Again, comment in below what cards you would put into the build, as I am curious as to what you guys would include, or if you guys would run this build. But thank you for joining me on this journey through this ship build. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more exciting content, and check out the links on your screen for 2 more videos from my channel that you might find interesting. And until next time, keep exploring and building boldly.